Welcome to Go Sports Tactics. Got Corey Hall from the Los Angeles Ironmen. The team that won the only event so far of 2020, the Las Vegas Open. It was a really good look for you guys. You actually beat X Factor twice at this tournament. Is Randy picking up paintballs off the ground? 3 minutes we've been into this game so far.
Billy makes a good move into the snake, and this is where he actually gets penetration on us, which is scary. His timing is impeccable.
All good paintball players are going to fill out given an opportunity, but having that big turret up in the center with A-Rod, it was just impossible to get out.
You're going to see LJ make the move into the snake, and it's like a coordinated move right here. It's just so clean. And what you'll see A-Rod do very smartly here is he shoots him in his first interaction and doesn't continue to try and shoot him. You see him come over top, shoot him, and then he doesn't come out to try and do it again. Look at him right there. He kind of looks over, waiting for the ref to come back. That's a little confidence thing right there. You don't want Archie to get confident.
The driving mission at Go Sports is to bring you the best paintball content and broadcast in the world, behind the scenes, in the pits, and on the field. To continue this mission, we're rolling out a renovated website platform across the board with easier search functions and a more robust chat system for better interaction with your fellow fans. Dive farther into the game with a new integrated stats portal. Get your insight into the game anytime, anywhere, with an improved functionality across all mobile devices. Check it out now.
Welcome to Go Sports Live. Happy Thursday, everyone. I'm Matty Marshall. Got Clint Johnson, the winner from the Ultimate Shootout 002, here to discuss the battles that he had on his way to victory. Also, don't forget to mark your calendars. Monday Night Paintball every single Monday. We're starting up Ultimate Shootout number 3. Going to get Clint's thoughts on the cast for that show. That, again, is going to be going down this Monday coming up, and every Monday from here on out. We have Monday Night Paintball coming at you. Also at home with San Diego Dynasty here on Go Sports as well. We do live shows either Wednesday or Thursday, and then Fridays, and then tactic shows. We just dropped a new one as well, so definitely want to check that out with Corey Hall from the Los Angeles Ironmen, the only team to actually win a 5-on-5 event so far, sanctioned by the NXL in 2020. But also mark your calendars. World Cup is coming up too, and also we got the Invitational, the Midwest Pro Invitational, going down at Level Up Sports, September 18th to 20th. We will be there with Go Sports for that. So without any further ado, Clint, man, how you doing today?
Doing well, Matty. Appreciate the time. Just hanging out. I think just excited to get back to paintball, just like everyone else. But you know, coming off the Ultimate Shootout with a victory always makes the week a little bit sweeter. I'll say that.
Well, we've known now for a little bit that we had to keep the secret, and thank God we did. But it was interesting too. So we got a decent amount to talk about. We're going to talk through each one of these matches. Again, like I said, I want to get your thoughts on the cast for the next 2 Ultimate Shootouts as well. Got some Texas guys in there, some old school Texas guys too that I know you've been around that people might not be familiar with. So I would like you to kind of characterize those dudes a little bit. And then some legends in the game are going to be there as well. We are leading it off with Chad Boucher taking on Nick Sloviak. But yeah, so you were one of my dark horse picks when we first set the cast for the very first Ultimate Shootout. So you were part of 1 and part of 2. And after watching the beta test, and I was like, and then seeing how well you played in Vegas, you were the #1 killer for AC Diesel in Vegas. Got your stats right here: 36 points played, 21 kills. You guys didn't have the best event that you wanted to have, but first event pro, taken 11th, not bad. Only a -2 overall on the spread. But you were the #1 killer. So the way that you played in Vegas, knowing how, the assets you have as an athletic dude out there. I mean, it was even funny in one of the, I think it was, I can't remember which one it was, so much paintball, but you did like a jump shot over a can. I mean, you definitely have the athleticism needed to play your position. So knowing that, and then seeing how well you did on the beta test, when you came into 001, I was like, hey, dude, everyone don't sleep on Clint Johnson. And obviously all the Texans knew that. But, seeing as how, you've been on the Outlaws. We went through your story on the last time. If you guys haven't seen that, definitely go back in our archives and check out the show we did with Clint where he talks through his story. So you played on these teams and you have impressed some of your peers. But I was thinking, man, this dude's got a good chance. Then you didn't have the best showing at the first one, which we'll talk a little bit about. You did lose in the quarters, which probably then pumped you up for this next one. But it was funny. I wanted to tell you this, and I couldn't tell anyone about this. I probably could have told you about it. Maybe I did it when we were there, but Dave Baines texted me before that weekend, and he was like, Clint Johnson wins the whole thing. Like, that was the only text. It wasn't like, hey, bro, how you been? Hope everything's going well. He said that we talked a little bit afterwards, did it broed out a little bit, but that was the incoming first text I got for Dave Baines, was Clint Johnson wins the whole thing. And then my response to him was, yeah, he was my dark horse pick from the beginning. So I didn't say whether you win or lost, but so Dave Baines, he had you pick too. But you weren't the favorite though. So again, we got a decent amount to talk about. At the very first one, Matt Jackson, he was the favorite. So maybe if we could just talk a little bit, let's start there. Let's talk about, you're heading in, you're playing Jesse Stevens, who's another guy that's kind of tailor-made for this format in the first one. But Jesse beat you in a pretty close game. I think it was 22-16. So that was a fun game to watch. But you got knocked out in your first event, or your very first game in the quarterfinals at that event. So that must have been a little frustrating, especially as well as you played the beta test.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know there was a lot of hype behind that match. Supposed to being good friends, but really trying to play the part as far as, the agenda for, what we're doing, where paintball's at. And so honestly, that was a tough day for me. I didn't really go in mentally as tournament mode. It was like, man, I just want to hang out. Like, we're mic'd up, we're shooting guns a little bit faster. This field's a little bit smaller. And almost went in with the comical mindset of, okay, this is going to be really entertaining. And then as the match developed, it was like, oh, this is real life. And so, ended up definitely losing that match. And was just like, dang, why did I do that? And so, I went into the match a little, under the mindset of this is, more for entertainment versus, the competitiveness that I usually go into everything else with. And it showed. I mean, that's why I lost. I think if you're going into any fight and you're there to entertain versus beat the person in front of you, I think you're going to lose. And that's definitely what happened to me that first match.
Yeah, I mean, and you were chirping it up and getting vocal, which was fun to watch. It was entertaining, but that's kind of the thing. It's like any, especially combat sports, we don't really, it's different if it's baseball, football, obviously hockey is slightly different because it's very violent, but we don't have the luxury in paintball of having this massive generational knowledge. Paintball it's been around for a while, but we've changed the way it's been played a couple different times in the, one generation essentially that it's been around. Maybe a little bit longer, but essentially a generation and a half, call it. But yeah, it's ideally you want to do both, right? You want to Conor McGregor it. You would like to entertain and beat the dude up in front of you at the same time. It doesn't always work out that way, but I did kind of notice that. I mean, you did start to clock in. It wasn't a blowout. I mean, Jesse didn't blow you out. Mm-hmm. It was a fun game to watch. Like I said, it was, I thought, a competitive match. He just was able to eliminate you, and then he went on and got eliminated by Meter. But heading into that specific event with the names that were there, so we're looking at Meter Niños, who was a series champ with X Factor. He's played on a laundry list of top pro teams. And then Matt Jackson, who won the Golden Barrel last year, he was the favorite. He did end up winning that one. But, once you win one, you didn't have to play the second one, and you already have assured your spot now into the finale. So Matt Jackson took a seat, and then we brought in a new competitor with Mark Baginski, who ends up being the guy that you play in the finals. So again, there's kind of some fun storylines to talk about here. But then you had to sit on the sidelines then. And so I'm just wondering, how much did you watch the rest of the play there to kind of see this brand new format, the tactics and strategy involved there? And then how much did it change at all, the way you were going to play? Was it just your mindset of the things that changed when you went into the second battle at Ultimate Shootout 2, or did you actually change some strategy up after watching what Meter did and what Matt did to get to the finals and what Matt did to win?
Right. No, I definitely was a spectator after that first match. Like I said, a little frustrated on how the first one went. But honestly, it wasn't one of those situations where you're there to scout and write down where they went each point, which buzzer they went for, which hand they were shooting off the break with. It was more of just, okay, I messed up that first match. Next time I get the chance to go out there, it's going to be straight competitive mode from the first point. So No, definitely was a spectator for the rest of the day because it's super enjoyable to watch as well as play the format that we're in. So no, I had a good day out there, but yeah, I wouldn't say I was there like taking notes on anyone or really dissecting anyone's play. That first tournament, what it really turned into for most of those players was they just played the back center and gun, we're going to get in gunfights early on. No one was really extremely aggressive as far as going for buzzers as the tournament developed. And so I just kept that in mind to kind of save some fuel in the tank, but didn't really go in with a super tactical mindset, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, you were, I would say, kind of organically feeling it. You didn't really look like you had a set specific type of game plan because you did. Did you have a coach with you? I don't think you did, right? Did you have a coach?
No, man, this is the ultimate shootout one-on-one. Like, get out there and do this thing on your own. All these people, you got X Factor bringing in their coach. You got all these people that are like, can you help me in the pit? A bunch of just sissy girls who want to get pampered when they come off the field for their 60-second break. I was like, I can handle this. You got 2 pods in your pack. Like, do you really need to get air after each point? So no, I went out there solo man 5,000. So if I got the win, it was because I got it. If I got the loss, it's because I got it. So take that for what it is.
So let's I love that. It's hilarious. Even though I will just send a public service announcement, having another pair of eyes is a good idea if you can get that option. Mad respect though. That's definitely the harder route. That's like having 2 routes up a mountain, and one of them's like pretty chill switchbacks. It's still going to be steep and suck quite a bit, and you're gonna be sucking some wind. And the other one's like stairs and straight up, and it's like, I'm gonna take the stairs. It's like, okay, bro, weird flex, but right on. All right, if you get to the top, you get to the top. You did get to the top. Talk to me real quick before we transition to Ultimate Shootout 2, where you did so well. We'll go through again each one of those matches, what you thought about your opponent, where your mind was at, during those battles. But after Jesse knocked you out, he goes to play Meter. Did you think Jesse was going to take Meter down, teammates, both on X Factor, or did you think Meter was going to take it? I mean, who were you picking in that one?
Yeah, so when you looked at both on paper, I think Meter kind of comes out on top just for overall discipline on how he was playing. Again, he was more the individual who was playing from the back, where Jesse was more of kind of running around, trying to acquire points as far as buzzers went. So I was definitely leaning towards Meter just because the style of play and the mindset overall. But also they're really good friends, they're really good teammates. So I know Meter knows how to kind of get in Jesse's head. So I was definitely leaning towards Meter as far as that match went.
So then Meter knocks Jesse out, goes on to play Matt Jackson, the favorite at the event. That to me on paper was a pretty damn good matchup. It ended up being a pretty good game too. It was, I think, 21-16 at the end. So that one was also fun to watch. It was not a blowout. Similar strategies employed by the both of them, but I just thought the way that Matt was mixing in a little bit of an aggressive push occasionally to throw a curveball, it ended up being the difference there. Meter was going more towards kill streaks. It had worked. He came from behind to beat Mark Johnson, then beat Jesse, who looked great against you. And but were you picking Matt in that one, or did you? I mean, obviously Meter, of course, had a chance. I mean, Meter's a very accomplished paintball player too. But with that golden barrel that Matt got last year and how good he's gotten, I mean, you've been battling against both those guys for a long time. Who are you picking in that one?
Yeah, as far as that match went, correct. I think it was out of everyone who played that first event. I think that was the finals match everybody was wanting to see as far as who was voting for who. So no, I think it was a really good match. And then I would say, as far as my mindset going into that match as a spectator, I was personally leaning more towards Matt. And the reason being is he's one of the most creative players that I know. If I'm steading on the field, whether it's 1v1 or 5v5 and Matt Jackson's on the other side, I much rather go the other way he goes. So if he's going snake side, I'd rather go Dorito side, sneak around and shoot him in the side versus trying to be 10% smarter than the guy who's in front of you as far as the game was played. So no, I was definitely leaning towards Matt just because the creativity factor. I mean, he has gun skills. He's, a top killer on the field. That's why he earned that barrel. So, that's my mindset as far as who is going to win that match for sure.
So then let's move on into your battle here. So, okay. So you get knocked out by Jesse quarterfinals. Now you're heading into the second one here. And I'm sure, I can't remember if I told you that you were did I tell you before? I was like, yeah, Clint, you're one of my dark horse guys in this one. I can't remember, but people must have been saying, hey, bro, you got a chance at this one. Don't blow it type situation. You've got to been, you
100%.
must have been had people in your ear.
Right. Yeah. Fooled me once. Shame on you. Fooled me twice. Shame on me.
So, but did you feel a little bit of extra pressure because you did have people that had your back, so to speak? But then I wouldn't say you blew it against Jesse. You didn't blow any huge moments. He just beat you. It wasn't, again, it was a close game, but I'm just wondering, because now, okay, you only got one more shot at this here. So, I mean, sure, you could get, now that you're the champ, you are going to be in the finale and you have a chance to win $7,000 for first place. So that is going to be going down at the end of the year. I believe in Florida is the plan so far for the finale. And it'll be everyone that took one or two at all the ultimate shootouts are going to battle in the finale for a $10,000 prize overall, $7,000 for first place. So, but I'm just wondering if there was like just a little bit of extra pressure because, this may be your last chance for a while to participate in this specific type of battle.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I feel like, I went into that second event of like, okay, I've got something to prove, not just for, my sake, but just coming out here as an individual to represent the team I'm on, Texas as a whole, everything going against me. I just felt like, all right, had to slip up. It's almost like I showed up for the first day of NASCAR and didn't have tires on my car. That's basically how the first event felt. Like the one thing that was needed to really get in the race, I didn't have. So the second one, I'm like, all right, I got spares in the trunk. Like whatever happens, happens. No matter how slippery turn 4 is, I'm ready to rock and roll. So yeah, I was excited for that second event.
So it was kind of interesting too. Well, a lot of these matches, I mean, you could almost say it for every single one, just based on the history of all these players, because look, man, it's the pandemic world. When we filmed this, we didn't even know if we were going to be allowed to film it, if anyone would even show up. I drove from California because I got a pregnant wife and my mom has cancer and I didn't want to, I was just trying to hedge my bets, but we all made it there. So that being said, because Paintball Fit would allow us to have it, we figured out all the protocols to try to keep everyone as safe as possible. So it was a lot of Texas guys, which made all the matchups really interesting because there was a lot of history between these dudes on different teams playing each other. So you get matched up with Mark Johnson randomly for that one. And I thought that was an interesting matchup here. So, just talk to me. We've had Mark discuss this a little bit, but talk a little bit about the history between you and Mark, because that was funny. You guys were jawing at each other. It was a pretty close game, man. We had Mark do a tactics show, and I thought, Mark's 44 years old, and he was playing aggressive. He still looks really good for he looks good in general. But so just talk to me about the history between the two of you, and then we'll talk about the actual battle itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So again, Texas Paintball, saw Mark at the local field. Most times that I was out there, I just started playing divisional paintball in 2010. And the following year, 2011, is actually the first year him and I played together on the same team, which was Texas Storm. And so a lot of individuals who don't really have direct support from their family, whether it's, wisdom they can seek, mentorship, financials, what have you. There's always that individual most people have in their life. And that's what Mark was to me, for just overall perspective on the field, more mentorship as far as life went. Because when we met, I was super young. And then also the financial side. He was a big supporter of me and just kind of helped me throughout the years we were together. He was one of those individuals who saw the potential in me and just kind of stuck out a hand and helped me through the process of figuring out paintball as a whole. Because the first year we played together in 2011, I was just that super fast, super young kid and could barely hold my paintball gun, to summarize it up. But he just knew that he could instill values into me and really teach me how to play. And so, where I am today definitely was initiated by, the time that he poured into me. So we've been best friends throughout the years. He was the best man in my wedding. I'll be the best man in his wedding coming up in January. So great history. We're best friends. We can poke at each other. We can be super competitive, and we can be really transparent with each other and not worry about offending each other's, feelings or what have you, we can be very, very clear
you're delicate.
on, what we talk about.
Yeah, you're not worried about offending each other's delicate sensibilities. Yeah, he said something like, when I asked him, he was like, I'm like, hey man, you're playing some of these younger guys out here, and this was even off camera too. He said, I think he said this on camera as well. But I was like, what's your mindset going into this? Again, this was not for public consumption. And he was just, kind of joking around. He's like, well, yeah, man, I'm the oldest dude out here, but I'm gonna treat this like I'm gonna take these like little kids out behind the woodshed and spank them, like they deserve to be spanked, because I'm just let them remember that I'm the older, stronger one, and just try to let them know where they came from, that sort of thing. And I was like, all right, that's kind of cool, because that's the mindset you want to have if you're Mark. It's like, I help raise these boys up to be grown ass men, so I'm gonna take them out behind the woodshed, give them a little whooping with my belt. It's like, that's the right attitude to have. So then in the actual game itself, you guys were, it was pretty close, man. Mark was going for buzzers. He was playing more. He was playing at some points or some rounds even more aggressive than you. But it does seem to be that the guys that can mix in, like the people that are prevailing, and this was your success as well, the people that are prevailing at Ultimate Shootout, they have an ability to some rounds play aggressive and take the initiative and force their other opponent to try to counterpunch, but then also counterpunch appropriately and make the right decision and the right shot and get a little lucky when you need to, when your opponent is playing a little bit more aggressive. It does go back and forth. There is a tidal flow to the battle in the Ultimate Shootout based on where what's happening. Is there, are you possibly going to be getting a bonus for your kill streak? Is it activated? Is it active? Right. Where are you at with that? Where's the bonus buzzer? How tired are you? All that sort of stuff comes into it, which I think does make it a captivating format to watch, and it does seem like to play. But talk to me a little bit about what was going on in your mind when the battle was happening. Were you surprised that he was playing as aggressive as he was, or did you expect him to be a little bit more back center, rolling his gun, reacting off what you were doing?
No, I knew Mark was going to come in with the heat. Playing with that guy over the years, we're never ones to back down in any situation. The whole year playing in semi-pro last year to earn the pro spot. We, every match, no matter what the score was, what the time was, we were going in there as hard as we could. I remember in the past when we both played with the Outlaws at the pro level and in XL, there was one point where we got a penalty at the end of the point, and we started with 2 bodies. So it was 2-on-5. And we played that point, and we both ran to the X. We're like, all right, we're either going to win this really fast or we're going to lose this really fast. We were going to go. So no, knowing the mindset Mark has, I knew it was going to be probably one of the funnest matches that I was going to play as far as moving on and who I would play next. So I knew Mark was going to come as far as going for those buzzers and just talking a lot of trash. And so, kind of like the MMA fight of kind of like, all right, this guy is like a really good striker. Like, I know he's coming in hot. He's going to do a lot of striking. And so I just came with the mindset of, all right, let me do some striking as well, tire him out, and then maybe we'll throw in some ground game here and there. And that's really what the match turned into. And it was a really close match. It's just, you got to be weary of, how close someone is to a buzzer. Are you on a kill streak? There's a lot of variables that go in, but definitely one of the funnest matches I played during that time frame.
Yeah, and we actually did a tactics breakdown with Mark Johnson, which you guys can go check out. That's one of the last ones that we did. So that whole game, we go blow for blow with Mark, and he discusses the entire thing and what he was thinking about you. But then you end up winning that one. So you must have been pretty stoked. Okay, finally got out of the quarterfinals. Now into the semis, 1 win away from getting into that final match. And then you get matched up with Meter Niños. Now, this one's interesting because this was a really, really good look for you after a really good look for Meter.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Let's definitely talk about this one. It was funny too because you had posted, I think it was Chad Yaya Boucher, who's in 3 and 4, and he had posted something up, I think, and you were like, yeah, I'm out there just winning this game. But it was for the finals, and you're like, oh, I'm out here winning this game without getting shot. And then I was like, oh yeah, okay, bullshit, because you definitely got shot against Mark Baginski. But you were referencing the Meter Niños match. Again, just hold on, I got to set the stage here because this was interesting. So first of all, Meter gets to the finals at the first one and has a battle against Matt Jackson. So Fuzz, again, ends up taking that win, but Meter didn't look bad there. And Meter had a really good strategy for this format. He was looking solid. So then he plays Ryan Hall, who's a fast, aggressive dude, likes to get after it, not scared to, you know, be aggressive. And he beats the brakes off of Ryan Hall. So the fact that he made the finals against Matt, beats the brakes off of Ryan Hall, looks outstanding. Now he goes to play you. I mean, we're all sitting around going like, okay, well, Clint definitely could win this one, but you know, the favorite's got to be Meter here. He made it to the finals. Clint lost in the quarters of the first one. Meter just absolutely decimated Ryan Hall, whereas you had a battle against the 44-year-old Mark Johnson, who, and I'm not taking anything away against Mark, but you know, he's twice your age, and he fought you tooth and nail. So, you know, you were able to get that win and go through. So again, be scared when you play dudes that have had close matches, because you get toughened up. I don't care if it's 5-on-5, 10-on-10, any sort of paintball battle you have. If you know, I wouldn't say you necessarily use the word skate through, but if you barely make it on after a vicious fight, those are the scariest guys to go against, because, you know, it's like the age-old paintball cliche of the, you know, we barely made Sunday and then we won the tournament, or we got our asses kicked at practice the weekend before or the day before on Thursday, and then you go out and just play miraculous paintball. So that's that was setting that's the stage set for the semifinals. And then you go into the battle, and then you absolutely demolish Meter. I mean, he put up 3 points on a buzzer hit, but other than that, dude, you literally didn't get shot the entire match. So, you know, yes, I got to give you your credit. You know, you did say you fought a match. I thought you were referencing the finals at that time when I made that comment. But so anyway, all right. But talk to me about what was going on in your mind, because you know that Meter just beat up on Ryan, and you got through Mark, and now you got to play against Meter, who made it to the finals. So what was going on in your head?
Yeah, so coming out of that match, like I said, I watched the first season, if you will, and watched Meter's match as well against Ryan Hall. And Meter was definitely more of the back center individual, where he'd like to stay in the back center, really dictate how he played the game, you know, off that initial breakout. If they stayed in the back center, he stayed in the back center. If they were to make a move, then sometimes he would play off of that. He wasn't really initiating the moves themselves as, you know, being aggressive. And so I knew that was going to probably be the case in our match. And so going into the match, I was actually really excited to play Meter, because he played really well the first event. And he'd been playing really well that day as well. And so when I got to the match, my whole mindset is I don't want to get caught in this back center to back center battle, because if he capitalizes on that, then gets in a kill streak phase of the match, now I'm in a really bad spot, because not only am I trying to break that kill streak, but if I'm going for buzzers to maximize my points, I'm really risking my body each time. And so that was my biggest goal for the match, was not to get locked into all these gunfights, but to have an opportunity to have those aggressive points and not be trailing, because that's really what happened in the match with Jesse. Is I was trailing majority of the match, and it just puts you in a really tough spot. So yeah, just capitalize on that, and it just turned out really well. Meter his number on his jersey is number 3, and he got to leave that match with 3 points. And so I was just trying to give him a reason to tell people why he picked number 3. And here we are.
Oh, poor Meter. I love Meter Ninos, but yeah, you did put the whoopstick down on him. I mean, I'm looking at the way that those points went. So your points, so he only had 3 points total. So that was it. And he didn't put one paintball on you, at least that broke. Your points went 1, 5, 9, 17, 21, game over. I mean, it was one of the fastest Ultimate Shootout games we've ever seen. Yeah. It was insane. So that is good for you, because these games can be grueling. I mean, that battle you had against Mark was long. You guys played, I think it was like 22 rounds or something. It was insane. It was one of the longest ones. So you went from one of the longest Ultimate Shootouts that we'd seen, and then you went to one of, I think, the shortest one that we had seen, especially to that point. But you kind of just were doing whatever you wanted there. But so one, that preserves your energy, because like you said, you don't have a coach. It's just you over there. So no one to blame, but no one to help. And then you go in to play Mark Baginski. So this, I thought, was such an interesting turn of events, because Mark was doing the smoke machine on episode 1, and I didn't even know who the hell he was, because I've never met him before. I'd seen him play a couple times, but you know, and everyone's got their stuff on, and you know, he's a young kid. So, and just as, again, if you guys are coming up, come introduce yourself to me, please, and tell me how to pronounce your last name, because if I'm seeing you constantly in your gear, I may be able to tell you by your body language, but I may not know what the hell you look like on the street. So I got Mark Baginski next to me in the tower pretty much the whole morning. And I'm like, I don't even know who the hell this kid is. Super nice kid, respectful, smart. But I didn't know that was till about 3 hours in, and he left, and I'm like, who's this kid? And they're like, oh, that's Mark Baginski. That's Iceman. That's what we call him. He's playing in the next one. I was like, oh, that's Mark Baginski? Oh, okay. All right. Shit. I wish somebody would tell me these things. So he had an interesting road there, which I kind of would like to get your thoughts on, because he was your enemy that you beat in the finals, but he was the rookie. Like, it's for all the names that are on here, he had no business making it to the finals. And I did tell him before, I was like, dude, kid, this is your chance to get a little more paintball famous right here, because we're living in the pandemic world. We don't know when we're going to get back to 5-on-5. We are going to be doing these one-on-one battles. So if you do well here, this could be a big breakout moment for you. And he didn't even flinch. He's like, that's why I'm here. That's the whole reason I'm here, man. This is what I want. Like, I'm good at this. I was like, and he had a lot of confidence, and he had that cocky swagger that you want to see out of young kids that could go somewhere and do something in the sport. So that was, it was good to see. But he matches up against BJ, and he definitely got a gift in that game. A call that if you're a BJ fan, you're going to hate that call. You're going to think that's a bad call. I'm still hoping to get BJ on. I had a long conversation with him. Great dude, man. I love BJ. Had a 2-hour long conversation with BJ about the whole thing and about paintball in general. But he was pissed, I think rightfully so. He also got cheated out of a buzzer hit that Mark didn't hit, that he got awarded with all that confusion when he ran around and hit 3 buzzers and Mark only hit 1. And BJ actually wasn't even, he wasn't even as pissed about the phantom buzzer hit as he was about the call. Cause he's like, Matty, I was raised the right way. I got a strong mama. I'm very principled about things. And to me, that was a bullshit call. And I feel like I got cheated out of the event. And I'm like, dude, I totally understand 1,000%. However, that is paintball. You're going to get screwed sometimes. It is just an inevitable part of the game. Sometimes it comes at a worse moment than others. I told him a story where we got screwed out of a series championship with excessive because Dynasty's running around Jedi mind tricking the referees against Joy Division. And they ended up winning a game, and them winning that game cost us the series title in the 7-man that year. Do you know how much money was on the line for sponsorships? A lot of money. But at the time, when people asked me, was I pissed? For sure. And then when I was asked for my on the record statement about it, I said, well, it's horrible that I feel that call was blown. However, that was the call that was made on the field, and this is paintball. And if you can convince the referees that something happened that didn't happen, more power to you, man. Unfortunately, that's like the strike zone, or back in the day before they had replay with baseball, or there's a holding call in every single NFL play. Like, it just, the fouls, the penalties, it's a hardcore part of the sport. But BJ got screwed. That there's no way around it, particularly on that buzzer hit. So talk to me about that matchup a little bit. We didn't even know that there was that phantom hit until we went back and watched the actual footage. But he did get the gift and moved on, but he made the most of it. But he did end up winning that game by 6 points. That was a 23-17 win for Mark. But you're familiar with him. He's a teammate of yours. You must have been proud of him that he even got to play you in the finals. But just kind of talk me through his story real quick with that BJ match. Let's start there.
Yeah, so that match, I think everyone was really excited for that match because you've got Ice, who's basically the rookie in the pro division, and then you've got BJ, who was the rookie the year prior. And they're both great individuals, totally different personality types, totally different playing styles. But anyone like that who comes into the AC program who is hungry, who's coachable and can lower their ego, they get better by default. The organization as a whole is phenomenal. So both those players were able to come into the AC program, really develop, really mature with their style of play and just how well-rounded they are. So I was fired up for that match. I was actually rooting for BJ. That guy is a human gorilla. Like, he is a tank. Like, he's got muscle, he's got speed, he's got attitude, and he can back it up. I've seen at our practices, things get loud sometimes. And there's fights that break out, at times. First, it starts off verbally, which most people have that skill. But then it turns in physically sometimes. And I've seen BJ pick up a human being and carry him like, it's a warm-up deadlift. So I was fired up for BJ. He actually had my vote for that match. But hey, man, it's the ultimate shootout. It's one-on-one. It's, like you said, there's a lot of variables. There's a lot of things that could go right, could go wrong. And at the end of the day, I'm glad Ice moved on. But in any sport, you hate to see it go that way, where it's that one bad call and you're like, oh, what would have happened if? There's always a lot of ifs. But I thought they both played the match really well. I think they're both really good at the format as a whole. Some of the players that came in, I think they struggled with the format. But both of them were, I feel like, really well-rounded. But like I said, Ice just happened to come out on top with a few kills and a few extra points.
Yeah, a few extra points. It definitely didn't hurt him. Yeah, it was that was the craziest match. That was the craziest Ultimate Shootout match we've seen so far, with all the controversy and the chaos. And BJ had 3 buzzers. No one's done that. It was insane. My heart goes out to BJ. But then so Mark moves on, and he plays Jesse Stevens. That was another crazy matchup, because you could argue that was the craziest Ultimate Shootout matchup, because they had so many fouls. I mean, they essentially went up a couple points, like 5-4, and then they had a good old Texas standoff where they just dumped a hopper on each other, and they both got huge fouls, and it reset the score. I think it was 1-0 after a 5-4 start. So it was like, okay, both get -5s, and I'm up there, I'm like, man, we got a long ass day, dude. Come on, boys. Like, this game's gonna be an hour and 45 minutes long. And I'm like, all right, so we're back to 0-0 here. And but it still was fun to watch. But it seemed that Mark, and this is what I like about him, I really do think that, he took sometimes things go your way, and he was constantly chirping at BJ like that annoying younger brother that you have just by your side constantly when your mom's, or dad's telling you, and he's like, no, he did it. He did it. He just was like constantly throwing like verbal darts at BJ to get him riled up.
Yeah.
And then he did the same thing with Jesse. Like at one point, I think he said to Jesse, he was like, we did this on a tactics breakdown too, one for one tactics. And at one point, Jesse's all stoked, and he did like the throat chop, and Ice looks at him and goes, what are you, Nicky Cuba now? That's not your thing, dude. The throat chop? Come on, bro. And then like walks off. So he just has that that cocky, that little annoying little just verbal darts that just, you're like, this dude won't shut up, man. This is so annoying. Anyway, and then, but that was a really good game for him, man. And he stuck there in the pocket mentally, and with all that chaos and he looked like the fresher guy. And Jesse just seemed to get a little bit more fatigued, a little bit more mentally frustrated. We are going to be having Jesse come on to do a tactics show as well here pretty soon, breaking down a 5-on-5 game. I love Jesse Stevens. He wears his heart on his shoulder. He's had a very interesting story. We've had him on the live show to talk about his route to pro, which was, difficult for him, man. He had to go through a lot of mental struggles to get, he was always talented, but just to get focused enough to harness that physical talent, it took him a little bit of time. But again, you can go back and listen to his whole story. But who did you have in that one? Did you think that Mark was going to take that one? I know he's your teammate, but Jesse was lights out for X Factor last year and beat you.
Yeah, true. Yeah, we'll give him that one. I think that was part of the dominoes that initially fell, was the fact that Jesse beat me, and he was going in with that mindset against Ice of, all right, I took out, the older version, if you will. Now I've got the young buck. So maybe that worked against him. But no, I think what Ice does really well, like you said, he's consistent, right? He's not going to just turn something on, then turn it off. He's just going to keep going with what he's doing. And so I think Ice, what he really brought to the tournament that a lot of people slept on, is just he knew who he was playing, and he used his strengths against their weaknesses. And you could tell during that match, Ice was definitely getting in Jesse's head. I remember talking to Ryan Brand after the match. This might hinder the relationship with Ryan and Jesse. So spoiler alert, loose lips sink ships. So I'm going to come at you guys real transparent. After the match, I remember Ryan talking to myself, and I think Ice and one other individual. He was like, dude, Ice got him good. Like, I would tell Jesse, hey man, this is what he's going to do. This is what you should do. And then Jesse would do the complete opposite of the coaching Ryan gave him. So I just thought it was super comical, the fact that Ice was just chirping the whole match, whether he won the point or lost the point, and just kept up the consistent factor, throw this guy off. Let me get this guy off balance in any shape or form possible. And he did that, right? He got in Jesse's head where Jesse was second guessing himself. He was second guessing his coach. He'd start the point and didn't know what to do. And so Ice just really capitalized on that. And I think it's more of that mentality of growing up. If you're getting bullied, just punch that bully one time and he'll probably leave you alone. And that's why I think we saw that Mexican standoff. Jesse the match we played, every time he shot me, he would overshoot me. And I mean, it's paintball, man. Like, I'm not going to cry about that. I don't think, anyone that was there will, but I think it can affect you mentally. And so Ice was like, nope, I'm going to mentally challenge you. I'm not going to get challenged by you. And then you see that Mexican standoff and you're like, this kid wants this match. And he held that through the whole time. And I think that's why he came out on top.
Yeah, mentally, it's just, you cannot overstate the importance of the mental aspect of this game. It's literally of foundational importance to your success or failure within the framework of any type of paintball. I don't care how good you are. If you're not focused enough to utilize those physical skills in the heat of that paintball battle, you're not going to do as well as you possibly can. But that being said, everyone has a different mentality. Everyone has a different personality. And you want to be able to harness the type of personality that you have. So it has, over time, Jesse has learned to cultivate the heart that he does wear on his sleeve to his betterment most of the time. But that is something that, he has to deal with. Whereas Ice, I mean, he got that nickname, the Iceman, because there was that mob hitman they're both Polish. He has a similar last name. It's not exactly the same, but he does kind of have that like calm, methodical, stoic, Iceman type vibe when things are at peril, when things are going bad. At least that's what I saw out of him. So I think he did earn that nickname in these situations because, obviously when things were getting crazy with BJ, he hung in the pocket, was still throwing his mental barbs. And he got the gift of some beneficial calls. Then he goes to play Jesse. Like you said, a guy who beat you, a guy who maybe could win this tournament. I mean, if Jesse could have the stamina, and then he just seemed to outlast him mentally and a little bit physically as well too. And because that was a crazy long game, lots of points played. Again, we broke that one down blow for blow. Go check it out on the tactics. So then now, as you're watching it go down, then Mark wins, Ice wins, and now you got to play him in the finals. Did you feel like you had a little advantage of him because you're the older dude and he's the rookie? I mean, that's like some big brother, younger brother stuff, right?
Yeah, I'd say there was a little bit of that, but honestly, I know we were, and I can speak for both of us here. I'll definitely put words in his mouth, but we were so exhausted by the time we got to the finals. I think we were both just on the same page of, all right, there's going to be a lot of trash talk. We're really good friends. We both respect each other. We're both talented paintball players. And so I honestly didn't really know how that match was going to go, but I was honestly going to be happy either way because, of course, if I beat him, I'm fired up. But I know if he wins, this is going to be a belief builder on his side as well. So anytime we step on the field after this, that's another finals experience. That's another win under your belt. And this game comes down to having confidence in yourself. And that's what I really appreciate about the one-on-one format because Ice, the whole time, he, like you said, his personality, his playing style, he kept true to that. And if you're going to try to be somebody else, you're always going to be the second best. But if you try to be yourself, you can be the first best version of yourself. And so I was excited for either turnout because it would benefit both of us. But of course, the competitive nature sets in where I want to win. I don't want to lose to one of my friends because I want to brag about it, right? When we get back around our friends, like I want to poke and, I want to press buttons. But yeah, I was going to be excited, however the match broke down, to be honest.
Well, you do get to lord this over them forever now until maybe you guys play each other again right. in this situation. Well, you are both going to be going on to the finale. So there is some alternative universe where you guys meet in the finals. I'm assuming, what this is yet to be determined depending on how it all shakes down, but I'm assuming you guys will be on opposite sides of the bracket of each other. Just right. So we can see different matchups. The guys that took first and second at each one of these, I'm assuming are going to go on the opposite side of the bracket. But man, I mean, Mark was very impressive, dude. Ice, I knew he was good, but I didn't know he was that mentally capable in those pressure situations. And also because the format is so conducive to the scramble, to read and react paintball. And he was really good at read and react. But in that match, and you and I we are going to do a tactics on this match, as I thought it was an interesting study of two guys going at each other and in a battle where it looked really close, but then there was a turn. And then you just kind of picked it up and he couldn't, you put it in his sixth gear. He didn't have a sixth gear. That's what it looked like to me. I don't know if that was fatigue. I did talk to him after it. He said, look, I was tired. And this was right after it happened. So, he was really disappointed. Obviously he was happy he made it that far, but he's pissed he lost. he said, yeah, but he was honest. He said, yeah, I got really tired, man. And Clint didn't seem to get as tired as I got. And that was the difference because, you guys jawed a little at each other, but like you said, because it was, the end of a long day and it's 95 degrees out there and it's even hotter on the turf and, in Texas in summer. But just kind of during the battle, I know, again, we are going to go blow for blow for this in a couple weeks here, but just talk to me about what it was like, mentally as you guys were, because it was close. I mean, it was a close fight for a while. And then you just, again, hit the afterburners and that was it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I know the match actually started where Ice was actually winning by quite a bit. Remember the first point? I think he went really aggressive. I think I tried to retreat back to the back center, came out to shoot a blind shot into the Dorito he was at by the bonus buzzer, and he capitalized on that kill. And I was like, all right, that was good, whatever. Next point, same thing. I think he got me on a quick shot. And so I was like, whoa, this is bad. He wins this next one. Now he's got that kill streak. He's got the kill streak activated, and he's got really good momentum. So I think I won the third point, and then same thing. He started taking off again. I think he got no, that was how the third point went. I believe he was going for the buzzer. He got the buzzer, but I got the elimination. So at that point, it was already 1-5 or 1-6. And then same thing, there was that gap, about a 5 to 8 point gap. And I think he got to 13 points. And then we had a trade where we both got a point. So it was 7 to 14 or something along that nature. Don't quote me on these exact numbers, but I know it was quite a deficit that I had to make up. And then, like you said, just flip that switch of, all right, it's go time, and just started winning some gun battles, getting buzzers. There was one where I just charged him, and it was actually a middle mistake on my end. I had gotten to the car wash off the break. So at the 50-yard line where the buzzer was, I went there off the break, up and over, and he basically went the other way. And I didn't even hit that buzzer. I mean, he wasn't going to shoot me if I were to hit it. I could have got it. And he was at the opposing buzzer on the opposite end. And I just charged him. I just ran at him, hit the center buzzer, and then he shot me. So that could have been a point where I could have, scored 7 to 8 points, depending on eliminations, things of that nature. But that's where I just started kind of cranking it up. And then once I got in the kill streak activation, just started maximizing points. And so got 2 points, I think, with the kill streak. So that maximized points. And then the last point we played of the match, I shot him off the break on a quick shot. And then boom, next thing you know, the match was over. So he was definitely running with it for a little while. And then we started, getting to that tied up measurement. But those kill streaks, man, that's what's really make or break it as you get later in the match. Because, if you're, 6 to 8 points away from winning and you get a few kill streak points, it'll end that match pretty quickly.
Yeah, the kill streak is a fascinating part of the Ultimate Shootout, just because it does stack up so quick, it compounds so fast, and it really can turn the tables. Yeah. But it was more like I was saying, it was the points were more him, but you guys looked physically both the same, So yeah, the points were going his way, but you kind of outlasted him. It was like watching a horse race. It's like when you see, right, one horse is going to have a lead, but they're both running hard. And then all of a sudden that one horse that had the lead just kind of, something happens. It's a wall. They start fatiguing. And then the other one just keeps going. It keeps going. It keeps going. So because like you said, you're running around, he's making some shots on you. He's getting some breaks, things that, he had a magical tournament, man. Things were going his way. He was playing well and things are going his way. That's always those are two things. It's like we always say, dude, I'd rather be lucky than good any day of the week. And twice on the day I'm playing for the win, if that would be excellent. So, but then it just seemed like you had more in the tank. So I'm just, from a stamina standpoint, I mean, was that just natural stamina you have because you're from Texas, you're used to playing the heat? Obviously he is too. Maybe it's that old man strength you got. I don't know if you've been hitting the streets doing some cardio before, or you've just been keeping your physical up, but you definitely had that stamina that just seemed to kind of just overtake him, and he just didn't have an answer, and he was just sloppy gunfight losses, and it ended up just being your moment.
Right. No, it's definitely not the working out or the cardio. I mean, right now working from home, the most cardio I get is if I have to go to the bathroom and I'm on a Zoom call with my company, and right when that Zoom call is over, I sprint to the bathroom. That's about all the cardio I get. And that happens, on a pretty small level as far as frequency. So yeah, I wouldn't say it was the working out or the cardio. I would just say, for me, I think it was just overall the adrenaline of creating momentum. I think that's what's huge, especially even in 5-on-5 paintball. As the match gets closer to the end, we've seen the Russians do this numerous times where, they're at a deficit and there's 2 minutes and they need 3 points, but they win a point and they have momentum, right? They win a point, they have momentum. And so both teams are, mentally and physically exhausted, but it's just, where's that momentum? Who's benefiting from the momentum? And so I would say that's what happened. I got that kill streak and it was just like, woo, big breath, like felt everything get bigger. I felt lighter, and I was like, all right, cool. Let's maximize this right here. And that's what happened for the last 2 points. So I don't truly think it was anything physical. Ice is in really good shape. He plays a lot of paintball. He does rock climbing. He's young. So I would just say the separator was more of the mindset of like utilizing that momentum and just kind of wanting to get the job done while I could get more points with that kill streak being engaged.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I just got a text from Jesse Stevens. I got to send a shout out to Jesse, but so because we were talking, because we're on this topic right now with, physical exhaustion essentially, right? And what you're going to do in that moment.
Yeah.
So he sent me a text that said, he's like, I played twice as many games as Ice. He's like, they can use the quote he got in his head card all day, but the truth is I was completely exhausted. I mean, he's not wrong. He did play twice as many games as Ice did. So, I mean, I'll give him that. I can't wait to see Jesse in it again. That's for sure.
I'm going to rebuttal on that.
Okay.
I have to step in and rebuttal. You can come in here and say, oh, I played twice as many games as that kid, so I was physically tired. Okay, good for you. How about you sit in the back center and win some gunfights? No one's telling you to run around and go for these buzzers. If you're physically exhausted, why are you still running around like a chicken with your head cut off? So I respect the fact that you might have played more points. So relax. How about you have a communication, an open line of communication with your coach that's there. You have a coach the whole time. Ice didn't have a coach. Ice didn't have a coach in his match. No one's telling him, hey, man, like, let's think long term. Let's slow down. Let's play the back center at this point. This guy had a coach in his corner, and he's going to try to come in here and say, oh, I played twice as many points. You had twice as much help. You had your mind, and then you had your coach's mind. So again, it's not about how many tools you have. It's about how many tools you use. So I'm going to go back to the mental side of things and say, okay, well, it showed up that he outsmarted you and outworked you mentally because you fell right into the trap of running around and trying to get bonus points and doing Mexican standoffs out here, exerting the little bit of energy you did have. So again, I think that's on the player.
Okay. All right. Well, fair enough. Jesse is not here to defend himself. He may send me a text.
Carl.
He may send me a text. I'm hoping maybe we're going to get a rematch between either him and Ice or you and Jesse at some point in the future. We will see. I mean, Jesse's not going away anytime soon. He's still young and strong. So, but yeah, no, I mean, I get it from both points of view. You're not wrong. He's not wrong. I just wish I could get you both at the same time so I could just set the stage and let you guys argue because it's fun to watch that stuff. Anyway, all right. So, yeah, man, hell of a win for you, dude. Clint Johnson taking the victory. I just, again, like I said, a lot of people thought you had a real good chance at this one, and you did not prove us wrong. It was a big win for yourself. It is interesting because in this format, like, yeah, everyone's got a team, and that team is fundamentally important to the players that they have become. It provides a fertile foundation for you to grow into the player that you can be. Like you said, Mark Johnson, like find paintball patrons, find the Greg Paulies of the world, Alex Martinez of the world, the Mark Johnsons of the world. Find guys like that, guys that see what you have potential, what you could potentially, grow into one day, and they're going to help you get there, But that being said, like you were just talking about, man, it's just you out there. You had to beat that paintball patron in order to even move on in the tournament. And then you had to be out there all by yourself with no help in order to get this victory. And now you got a chance to play for $7,000. So I think it's just a good win for you, man. I think it's, people have always thought that you could be a top level first attacker in the pro league. You're still young enough to be that guy. And I just think this was a really good, solid victory for you. So before we sign off though, I got to talk about the cast for Ultimate Shootout 3, because again, Monday Night Paintball, it's starting up this Monday. So let's I do want to talk about, we got different guys in here. We got Harrison Fry, Andrew Wyatt, Haber, Dave Haber from the Outlaws, Jeremy Zimmerman. I want to ask you about him specifically. Cody Mikowski, Fred Berkley, Chad Boucher, and then Nick Sloviak. And then we have Logan Dyer coming in for the next one. So, but this is the stage is set here now for the next Ultimate Shootout. Let me just ask you about Jeremy Zimmerman real quick, because that might be a guy that a lot of people don't know too much about. I got the history on him. He has been around for quite a bit, went through a lot of trials and travails in his life, but he's, a guy that's been around. I mean, he's got a family, everything's squared away. His life's great now. And he's been around Texas paintball forever, widely respected from all the Texans. Are you familiar with Jeremy at all?
Yeah, I wouldn't say I know all the Carfax, if you will, but I've been around with the guy for years. I've seen what he's done. I've seen the consistency he's had. But yeah, just all around, like when I think of Texas paintball, I mean, he's one of the first guys that comes to mind as far as his attitude, his playing style, and really what he's done for the years that I've known him. So yeah, he's a phenomenal individual. He's a hard worker outside of paintball. He's a family man, beautiful family. But when he shows up to play paintball, like that guy is ready to show his wrath. And I've seen a lot of it, and it's awesome.
Yeah. Again, he's going against Dave Haber, though. So Dave Haber, I was really happy to find out that Dave Haber took the invite to come to this one, because Dave Haber's my favorite guy to watch on the Outlaws, because he plays that snake so well. I mean, we always joke that the opponents might as well let Dave Haber start in your snake, because no one seems to be able to shoot him off the break with any consistency. He goes there every single time, and he's a very aggressive guy. He's a veteran, former Marine, I think Marine or a Ranger. I can't remember off the top of my head, but he's a really respectful dude, calm, soft-spoken, but he's a physical beast. He's real aggressive, real fast. So that's an interesting matchup there. Harrison Fry, Andrew Wyatt coming up, initially out of the damage camp, then the DMG camp. Now living kind of a little bit more central of the United States, so he was able to make the drive out and come to play in this one. Harrison Fry got to be the favorite in that one, and then Chad Boucher, Nick Sloviak. That's a hilarious one on the story perspective there. And then you got Fred Berkley and Cody Mikowski. We've had both Cody and Fred on the show. They're mirror images of each other. They play the exact same position. They play it very well. You could argue that both Fred and Cody on any given day, I think Cody is one of the, most underrated players in all of paintball. Could almost say that about Fred too, because Fred's played on the Outlaws, and the Outlaws have not done well and made a ton of Sundays, but we call both those guys Mr. Consistent on their teams, and they excel in situations like this. So, both Cody Mikowski and Fred Berkley are beasts. I think it's really interesting that one of them's knocking the other one out in the very first go around here in the quarterfinals. So just real quick, if you could give me your opinion on these matchups here. Let's start with Chad Boucher and Nick Sloviak, though.
Perfect. Yeah, I think that's going to be one of the most exciting matches. I mean, both of them have a great personality. So I think as far as the entertainment factor, I think that's going to be a really fun match to watch. That guy, great paintball player, very vocal at times. Nick Sloviak, another great one. I mean, coming off the win in Vegas, I'm sure he wants to maintain that level of respect as far as coming out on a win. But one thing I will say with the setup of the Ultimate Shootout and the size of the bunkers, it's extremely unique. The car wash, these smaller Doritos, these smaller Aztecs. And so I'm just going to lean on for that match, just due to the height. And that was one thing that I felt playing Jesse, where no matter where I went on the field, I was having to duck, where Jesse could stand up, and be able to play anywhere he wanted. And so, for that, particular match, I see Nick kind of struggling as far as, really getting comfortable on the field, where might be able to leverage that as far as his playing style and just being comfortable on the field. But as far as vocals go, I feel like that might be one of the most entertaining matches in season 3 as far as the matchup. So, yeah.
Yeah, and Chad looked great coming off of his loss actually at Pat Craft Jr. in the Pro Tour. Even though that was even a better look for Pat, but it was a good look for Chad. I was hot as hell out there that day too. So what do you think about Fred Berkley and Cody Mikowski? I think stylistically, they're just mirror images of each other. Both tall, bigger dudes, hell of great gunfighters. again, Mr. Consistent for their team, always pulling stuff off when bodies are great on the scramble, pulling things off when bodies are dropping everywhere. What do you think about that matchup?
Yeah, that one's going to be very unique. I feel like what's really going to transition that match is who breaks the mold. They know each other very well. They put on the same teams for quite a while. And so that's when they're going to really have to think of, okay, do I want to go out here and meet the expectations that the other individual has set for me? Or do I want to maybe try a few different things and come out on top, maybe with an aggressive push or things of that nature? I will say, as far as the mindset goes, I see Cody having a little bit better of a match just because he's been in a lot of situations. So is Fred, but I feel like Cody's had a lot more situations when things are more on the line as far as getting through the tournament, where fatigue is already set in. There's a lot more stress on the individual as far as progressing through the tournament. So with the overall experience of being in the one-on-one and being able to think quickly and react, I see Cody being that more of a benefit on his end. But both of these guys are used to shooting off the break. And so I think, what we might see is a lot of back center play on the initial breakout because there's 2 quick shots you have at your opponent. And so I see that kind of being the pace of that match of, all right, let's both play the back center. And then if we do get somewhere, it's going to be maybe 1 or 2 bites and then it's going to be another gunfight. I don't really see either of those players running around lawlessly on this field to hit buzzers. I just don't think that would make sense for either of them.
All right, let's move on. Harrison Fry, Andrew Wyatt. You're probably more familiar with Harrison Fry than Andrew Wyatt. I think on paper with how well Harrison has done the past couple seasons as a newer pro guy, kind of making a name for himself. Even though I do have to give mad respect to Wyatt, but Wyatt, man, I mean, it's like when I talk to him about his story, it's the guy you can't sleep on. I mean, he's been playing high level paintball for a long period of time. It's like same with Jeremy Zimmerman. Even though Harrison is the odds on, if we were doing Vegas odds, I mean, he's got to be the favorite in that one. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I would agree. I think as far as favoritism go, people will lean more towards Harrison because it's more of a familiar name. But Andrew, I'm a fan of him. I think it was the last ICPL event in Florida. I saw him play on the hyperball field, getting nasty out there, making some good shots on people. So I think both players are going to come into this with their strengths. Harrison is more of kind of the wired out player, where you're going to see some unique things. Like I think he's the Tyler Harmon of Infamous, basically, right? Like he's that player that's going to go out there and be really energetic, very creative, and do some things that you wouldn't really picture yourself doing. So I see Harrison coming out in that match just because I feel like he'll be a little bit more creative. I think he will be a little bit faster as far as getting around the field. And I've seen him get in really odd positions to gunfight out of. So I feel like he's going to be really comfortable on the field as well. I think that's a big separator of if someone's not really comfortable on this field in the format, they're already, at a default. So I see Harrison, playing this to his strengths, really good off the break. He thinks quickly, he moves quickly. And that's the cool thing about this. You can either go towards buzzers or if he does get those early kills and he has a kill streak. So I think that's something Andrew's going to have to keep up with and kind of match the efforts and kind of think more along the lines of what is this guy going to do? And, let me mirror, what he's doing. So that'll be a good one. But yeah, like I said, I'll have to lean towards Harrison for that match.
Then we got last one, Dave Haber and Jeremy Zimmerman. We got the old school Texan Jeremy Zimmerman taking on, I think, a really up and coming front player here in Dave Haber, who's been nothing but impressive every single time he takes the field for the Outlaws. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a really unique one. I think David's strength here would be, like you said, he is the one for the Outlaws. So he's used to going at a very quick pace. He's used to getting in the enemy's face, if you will, during the match. I think that'll be a huge strength on his end. But I've just seen what Jeremy Zimmerman can do. I've just seen the grit that guy has. I mean, honestly, they might want to get more refs for that match. Jeremy Zimmerman, I don't think he's walking off the field unless he gets shot in the face. So David better, make sure that gun is shooting full capacity and, 300 FPS because Jeremy Zimmerman, that guy is not going down without a fight. Like he's not checking to see if it bounced. Like if the ref isn't calling that guy out, he's more than likely getting away with something. We've seen some matches where players are getting points for buzzers they didn't hit. They better keep their eyes on Jeremy Zimmerman. That guy is crafty. He is gritty. He's so fun to watch. So I think David's bringing in a lot of strengths to this match, but he better sharpen that sword because Jay-Z's got some armor on that he'll have to get through. That's for sure.
Yeah, that's one I'm really looking forward to, man. I can't wait for everyone to watch. Yeah, I think it's a cool cast, man. And then we're bringing in Logan Dyer for 004. I think it's going to be good, man. I think, we're bringing in some fresh blood. We're actually, and also discussing who's going to be for the next one that we're going to go film. And I think the beginning of October. And then, just going to set the stage here for the finale. I'm stoked on it, man. I'm so glad we got a one-on-one tournament series and guys are playing for some money. So it's going to be good. Well, hey, Clint, thank you so much for sitting in here again. I don't want to say that we called it, but you were the dark horse, even with a couple other favorites out there to take the victory. And it was, I think I can't remember if I said it when we were talking about Dave Baines, but after that night, you had your win last week. Then I got another text from Dave and he's like, told you. I was like, hey dude, you called it from the beginning.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's going to be Wyatt versus Fry here coming up Monday night. Paintball going down this Monday. And then we're bringing you guys as much content as we possibly can. Do set your calendars though for September 18th through the 20th, the Midwest Pro Invitational. I think 8 or 9 teams going to be showing up for that one. All pro teams. Golden State Kings are going to make an appearance. So we're going to keep you guys updated on the battles that will be taking place there. Hype that up a little bit. Finally we get some pro paintball, and then World Cup does appear to be on. We talked to Tom Cole last week. So yeah, I'm excited that even though things aren't quite normal yet, that we are trying to do our best to bring as many people as we possibly can some of this competition paintball because we love it so much. Anyway, Clint, last words. Anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, Ultimate Shootout as a whole, just putting this all together, Go Sports for the content. Got to give mad shout outs to Paintball Fit. That field has done anything they can do to cater to the paintball players as a whole. Hosting the Ultimate Shootout at their facility. It's turf fields. There's air in the pits. Phenomenal location. If you're ever in Waxahachie, Texas, and you're looking to play paintball, check out Paintball Fit. Other than that, just the team as a whole. AC Diesel, AC Dallas, maybe we're not spending time with each other at practice during these times, but we're in constant communication, checking on each other. And that's just the brotherhood you have with the organization that we have, just brothers in arms. We're excited to get back, didn't have the showing we wanted in Vegas. So excited to get back to work and just see the familiar faces at, World Cup. That's the thing about the pro level is you do respect other teams. You do have friendships. So I think we're all just excited to get back to competitive paintball, but also see faces you haven't seen in a long time. And like you said, kind of, get things back to normal. So no, definitely a pleasure, Matty. Appreciate your time.
Appreciate your time, Clint, man. Looking forward to seeing you get back on the field and play in a solid 5-on-5. And also, of course, looking forward to seeing you in the finale at the end of the year with that chance to win that money. Anyway, thank you guys so much for tuning in. Hope everyone's staying safe and staying sane out there. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Welcome to Go Sports Tactics. Got Corey Hall from the Los Angeles Ironmen. The team that won the only event so far of 2020, the Las Vegas Open. It was a really good look for you guys. You actually beat X Factor twice at this tournament. Is Randy picking up paintballs off the ground? 3 minutes we've been into this game so far.
Billy makes a good move into the snake, and this is where he actually gets penetration on us, which is scary. His timing is impeccable.
All good paintball players are going to fill out, given an opportunity, but having that big turret up in the center with A-Rod, it was just impossible to get out.
You're going to see LJ make the move into the snake, and it's like a coordinated move right here. It's just so clean. And what you'll see A-Rod do very smartly here is he shoots him in his first interaction and doesn't continue to try and shoot him. You see him come over top, shoot him, and then he doesn't come out to try and do it again. Look at him right there. He kind of looks over, waiting for the ref to come back. That's a little confidence thing right there. You don't want Archie to get confident.